Right, hi everyone. I'm just doing a little adjustment. This is one of the hardest parts of doing a live, is getting the camera set up. Anyway, I think we're mostly here. Thanks if you're joining me, or if you're watching the replay, you're very welcome here. I'm Carol Ann, I call myself the Queen of Scraps, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator from Cambridge, New Zealand. And since this will be the fourth in the series, I've been very inspired to use up my very old vintage DSP, and I am encouraging you to do the same. And I'm doing that by doing these lives each week on a Sunday night, and there's a video and this video that I'm currently doing. There'll be a video that will be available to watch in the future, and there's also a PDF which has all the cutting instructions. So they'll be available sometime after this live finishes, once I process them. This week we are going to do a gatefold card, and this is a simple gatefold card. So that was a request. I gave you a couple of choices last week, and this was the one that people voted for. And so this is what we're going to do. So it's a simple horizontal gatefold, and I'm using this week the same paper the family that I used last week, and it's an old one called Oasis. I think it's from 2010. So let's go to it. I'll give you some tips as I go through. I'll also be giving you some tips how you can match to the colour papers, as I have done before. You know, there are always some issues when you're using some really old papers up, because the colour coordination that makes Stampin' Up so easy to work with falls down a little bit when you've got very old paper like this that may be up to 15 years old, and some of these colours are retired. So the blue here is called Baja Breeze. It's long retired, and the green is called Kiwi Kiss, also long retired. I think it was in colour for a couple of years. So I'm going to give you some tips, but interestingly enough today, the paper that I chose to use from the suite, it actually is, and you will sometimes find this with your papers, there's one paper in the pack that is really neutral, and this is very neutral. It just has the white and the crumb cake and the black, which obviously are all current colours. And there are also colours that you can put a lot of different colours with, or you can go for a very understated, muted kind of theme. So I'll go through some of those options with you. So that's our sample one. I'll just pop it just out of shot. So when you're making a horizontal gatefold, there are a couple of things you need to do a bit differently. If you've watched any of my making videos, you'll know that I generally make my card bases, I think they call it hamburger. So cutting it through that way, I've heard it called hamburger style. If you turn it that way and cut it that way, you get a different shaped card base, and this is called hot dog because it's long, so you get too long. So whichever way you want to call it. Hi Melanie, I see you're on. Thank you for joining me. So as I say, normally I make the card bases that would be cut halfway across here and scored at 10.5, but for a horizontal gatefold we do need to cut them the other way, the hot dog style. So we're going to cut it at 10.5. I'm just making sure I've got it nicely lined up there so I get a nice straight cut. 10.5, and we're going to cut that. So that still gives us two card bases, but they are folding in a different direction. So when we come to score it, the easiest way of doing it is to score it at 7.4. And then just flip it around the other way and do 7.4 this way as well. Now actually I was going to show you a little tip. If you hang around to the end, probably should have done it before I got started, but you hang around to the end, I'm going to give you a little tip for cleaning your equipment, because this is actually getting really quite dirty and it does start to impact your card making. So I'll give you some tips on how you can clean that. So I've just done those two scores, 7.4 on each end, and flip it around. Before I put away my trimmer, I've actually got one more thing I need to cut, which I haven't cut already. I've got all the other bits prepared, but let's just cut this. So this is going to be a mat for the inside, and it's just a standard mat size. This one, so it's 10 by 14.3. So now I can put the trimmer aside. Now this is a super simple card once you've got the cutting done, and as I say, don't worry about writing down the measurements, because they're all going to be in the PDF. And this kind of gatefold card is the basis for doing quite a lot of different fun folds. But basically you're just scoring down those two sides and it should just meet in the middle, and it does, so we've done it right. So that's our card base. Let's just pop that there and I'll get my bits and pieces together. I think I've got most of the pieces here. So on this one here, actually I've done slightly different measurements. I've done a very fine black border on this one. So, but on this one I've just cut them with standard measurements. So the inside pieces on here, I actually haven't measured those because I think it just makes it a little bit too bulky on the inside. And you know, you can get carried away with the matting. Sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. So I've got two different sizes of the DSP here. Let's put the two sizes of the same size together. These are the bigger pieces. So the bigger pieces are going to go on the inside of the card. I have to decide which. I might put the lighter ones on the inside. So these are the ones that aren't matted. I'm going to put them on the inside. And just use whatever adhesive you like. And these cards that just have neutrals can be really nice without adding any pops of colour, but they also add, you know, as I said, they lend themselves to having pops of colour added to them. And you can go away a completely different colourway from the colours that are in the DSP if you're using a sheet that only has the neutral colours. And I did make a mat for the inside here. That was what you just saw me cutting. So I am going to mat that bit. And the pieces should all line up. Oh, a little bit uneven there, but... And the white, I've cut this white insert down another ½ centimetre, so it'll just have a fine border of the craft again. Okay, and now the outside. So these mats are going to be the same size as these pieces are, in fact. And then we've got the... Just so if you've got something like this where it's got a pattern going through, you must make sure the pattern follows along, because with a geometric pattern like this, if I put those pieces together, it's just not going to look right. So we just have it like that. So it's the same depth of pattern at the bottom. It'll look much better. So I'm just going to add these bits on. And this one. And then these are sized so they're going to fit nicely on those outside flaps. Righty-ho. And with something like this, depending on how well you've burnished it, it will have some impact on how well it stays closed. It does tend to want to spring up a bit at the moment. And, oopsie, don't squish the glue out. Don't do what I do sometimes. Sometimes that's a bad thing to do. I'll have to use my glue eraser on that. Probably shouldn't have squished it that. Should have squished it before I glued it. Maybe I'll let that dry for a moment or two and we'll talk about decorating the front, and we can talk a little bit about decorating the inside, as I have on quite a lot of these other ones, because I'm trying to use up my DSP. I did add a strip of cardstock and a strip of the coordinating paper on the inside of that one. That's the Kiwi Kiss colour there. On this one, I haven't actually decided what I'm going to do for this one. But I often will do a punched shape or a die cut shape, and I generally put my sentiment on the front. Now, of course, you could, if you're getting ready for St. Valentine's Day, you could always put a heart on here. You don't have to have a circle or a regular shape, and you can use a focal point, a large. Say you've got a die cut, or even just fussy cut flower or some other image that you want to put on the front. So let's do something with this. I'm trying to decide whether I should go for a completely different colour. Maybe I should give you the two options. I will give you the two options. Before I do that, I was just want to talk about the matching. Today we don't have to match because these are all current colours with the particular papers that we're using. This one here, I didn't have any embellishments at all, and I could have just used something neutral like the rhinestones, but I decided I would make some little embellishments, and I've just made them from the cardstock, which I've used to punch, and I've layered them up to give it some dimension. And I have then and popped them up with pop dots. I think you can probably see that there. And I've just added a little wink of Stella on top to give it a little sparkle. It's quite subtle, not as sparkly as rhinestones perhaps, but it's a nice little touch and draws out that colour there. So that's just another tip for you. And let's try a couple of different colours here. I'm going to, there's a couple of colours we can add in here. Put that one in here. And make something that is a completely different colour. I might try this Lost Lagoon. And I'm going to use my stamp set. Oh, put it away. Fancy that. Let's find the stamp set I want to use. I'm using one of these new ones. So we've got some lovely sentiments here, and I'm just going to choose. You're in my thoughts today. I don't know whether I've used that with you guys recently, but it is a lovely sentiment. So let's just mount that up. I usually try and keep these straight by mounting it up using my good paper behind. And I'm going to great, just give me one moment. I'm just going to need to get my die cutting stuff. Right, back in the shot. And I've got this lovely lovely little die. That's part of the Thoughtful Expressions bundle. This actually, I might actually go down a size because I'm not planning to put. I will go down a size. I think this will fit. Yes, it will fit. That's a better size for that. That sentiment. You're in my thoughts today. My thoughts today, and I'm actually going to I'm going to use that bigger one and use it as a mat, and I'm going to choose this other colour, Fresh Freezer. Right, so we'll cut out the Fresh Freezer. Yeah, so you don't always have to stick with the original colourway colours. As I say, when you're using these neutrals. Great. I think we're done with this one. I'll get it out of the way. And I'm just going to mount that onto there. Straight on will be fine on this because I'm going to use pop dots on the back. So that straight. Good. And the only little trick when you come to pop this on here is going to be you only want to put the dimensionals on one side here. So I'm just going to get my dimensionals. There we go. And keep them sort of on one side of the midline. I usually put usually attach my sentiment on this left hand side, but there's nothing to stop you putting it on the other side. Righty ho. And I'm just going to line that up in the middle. And just by having that there, that will help close it up. As I will say, now this is dry, I can probably give it a bit more of a burnish. But as you can see, this is why you don't want to put too much dimension in there. Maybe I shouldn't have put that mat. There we go. And to match that in, I would probably, let me just think. I probably should do a little bit of colour on here to bring the inside colour in. I used this stamp yesterday and it was a pretty one. Should have some Lost Lagoon. I've got these same colours, so I just quickly go this is a nice way to get colour, more than one colour on your stamp. I'm just going to use the don't use the tip of your Stampin' Right marker, and you do need to use a Stampin' Right marker. This isn't going to work with the alcohol blends because they'll dry too fast. So, and I'm just going to go back and I'm going to add just a little touch of colour to make the stems. I usually do the lighter colour first, so that's why I've done the fresh freesia first. And you're going to come up these little bits, get a little stem on there. I think that's enough. Just to make sure sometimes it takes you a little while to colour these, and you can put more than 2 colours on here. I want to add a little bit of darker toning colour in. I'm just adding a bit of Pretty Peacock down the bottom, just give it a little bit more shading. And in the same way I could add maybe a little berry burst on a couple of the flowers. Just add a little bit of variation in there. Now this can dry a little bit while you're adding the colour, so this is the official name, the Huff test. So I'm just going to breathe on this and you will hear me in the background. So just that kind of, the moisture from your breath will kind of refresh the colour. And I'm just going to stamp, where am I going to stamp it? Just stamp it down there. Give it a chance, just keep it in place, give it a chance for the colour to transfer. There we go. So you've got a pretty little colour coordinated image on the inside there. And that's your very simple card. You could obviously add more embellishments. You could use die cuts and flowers and other stamped images, and I may do another one like that, but we're keeping this quite simple. And with these very plain and light coloured papers, you can always stamp directly on them, and that can be a nice effect. Okay, so that's another card finished with the horizontal gatefold. So we'll put that one aside, and I've got a couple other things I want to talk to you about. One was the drawer for the scrap pack giveaway. So I put together a scrap pack giveaway from my Dainty Flowers leftovers, and that's what I like to do when I get to the end of a DSP. If I haven't managed to use up every single little tiny bit, I usually put together the paper scraps with some cardstock scraps and some die cuts and things that I may have been using to put the cards together, and I put enough materials together that you'd definitely be able to make at least 3 cards. So and I'll post them to people who comment on the blog post announcing it. And I only had 1 entry, so Melanie, you are the winner. So I'll be getting that to you. So next time you see me offering a scrap pack giveaway, I recommend that you check it out, because they give me quite a good little inspiration to try something a bit different, and they'll be with papers that you can't buy any longer. Anyway, I thought I would just give you a little peek of some variations of the card that I've actually made. I've got 5 of these made. So this is for next week, the Blast from the Past DSP. Oh, that's interesting. I just realised I've put white inserts on these, and I probably should have used cream, but very vanilla. Anyway, this is another one of these designs where you get to see both sides of the DSP, and some of them I've matched in another coordinating one to use them up, and I've got some little borders. This one's from the Apple Blossom, that's a current one. I used it on there as well. And this is some more from the Thoughtful Expressions stamp set I was using tonight. And I've coloured that one. Luckily I actually had some Riding Hood red. Anyway, but I'll tell you about that next week. So, and this is, again, these are from the Thoughtful Expressions dies. And this lovely scallop here is from the Colour and Contour. And again, this is the dies from Thoughtful Expressions, and I've used one of the freebies. This is the freebie stamp set, Softly Sophisticated. That's in the current celebration. So this is something you could get for free. But this comes with a beautiful embossing folder. And you do need to have a spend of $220 to qualify for this one. So anyway, this is the design I'll be going. It's a fun fold, as you can see, and I'll be doing this for our live next week. And this DSP is called Love Letter. So I did think I should do at least one Valentine's one. I'll be giving you the PDF and the instructions for putting it together, along with some hints for integrating your colours. So I hope that you find that helpful, and if you've got any questions, just send me a message, and I will try and get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks for joining me, and I'll look forward to seeing you next week too. Goodbye.